time and time again, we see these immense acts of selfishness, derangement. We got to make sense of it. That's why I want to welcome to the program. She's been on Newsmax a number of times before. She's a friend of the channel. She's going to become our friend here on this show, and I'm happy to have her. Jill Payne. She is a clinical therapist, and we appreciate her coming on the program today. Jill, how do we make sense of this immense evil we've seen play out over the last number of years, but most concentratedly in the last week or two?
Right. And so us people, and I don't know if that's great English, I'll have couples, this is so your audience can understand, I'll have couples come into my office and the husband will look at the wife and he'll say, I'm divorcing my wife because she just doesn't use the toothpaste right. And the wife will turn to the husband and say, I'm divorcing my husband because he keeps the toilet seat up and I fall in it all the time. That's not the real reason for the anger. So there's been a buildup and nothing in relationships just happens. So I wanted to just give that analogy so people can sort of see what is happening. And there's a man called Yuri Bronfenbrenner, and he's deceased now. He was from Moscow, so he was very interested to find out how come people in different cultures are different. So he developed this model, and he realized that there are many systems, many different environments that affect people. There's not just one. So just for the audience, there's one of the main that they know about and they talk about all the time is the microsystem. And that's the parents and the teachers and the peers and stuff like that. That's direct contact. And then you have the indirect contact, which you and I will be talking about, and that's what you're talking about right now. So the indirect contact, which is the social media that's coming in, and how is that affecting us?
And so how is that? How is that driving these sorts of attacks and these sorts of shootings?
So it's, well, you can see it's doing it negatively. So a long time ago in the 1970s, there was a man named Albert Bandura, and he studied aggression, and many people have studied aggression. We realize now, if you watch the Bobo doll experiment, he did this experiment where there was a cute little Bobo doll that bounced back and forth, and he would show kids, parents or parent figures, hitting the Bobo doll, taking a hammer and beating the Bobo doll out, beating the Bobo doll. And so what the children would do when they would go in with the Bobo doll, they would imitate that behavior and even verbalize, imitate their words also, and even pick up more violent objects. And so what he thought and he found is that children imitate what we see, which you're a parent. If you're a parent, you know that, oops, I said that wrong word because my son just keeps repeating it. Okay, so that is the immediate direct effect that people have. And then they've also done research where a lot of research has been done where when we watch, or kids, it's the age limit. So in Bronfenbrenner's ecological system, it's the earlier that you have these kids watch these violence on TV, and the more you have them watch, the more likely they will become violent. And age 8 seems to be not a good time to have them do that, and so much so that the American Pediatric Association has taken to effect and has warned parents that if they're 2 to 5 years old, no more than 2 hours of screen time because of that.
So when we distill this down, one of the things I think we see is what? These kids have access to PlayStations, they have access to Xboxes, games that are online, single-person shooter games, and stuff that's violent like that, or Grand Theft Auto. And certainly adults play these games all the time, and they don't ever go and pick up a gun. But that can have a deleterious effect on the kids and the way their brains are forming.
It is, exactly. So what's happening is kids' brains are being developed, and they're not fully developed until their late 20s. So when they've done studies that when you're even doing multitasking, it's changing the brain chemistry And anything that we're doing is changing the way our brain is working. So all these studies are showing that we need to limit our time on what we're using with social media. And so I'm going to go back to this, the Bronfenbrenner's model, because this is my theory, is that we are creating unstable people because we need to get that like, Brent. So if I don't get a like on social media, what happens to you? How do you feel?
Right. You get depressed. You get
Exactly.
depressed. You get sad. You keep going back to check to see if anybody's come. Yeah.
And it's true, because when we get the feeling, when we feel rejected, it's the same region of the brain lights up as when we have been stabbed with a knife. So we are being programmed now not so we are being programmed now not to be authentic. And so if I can't be my real self, how is that going to affect me when I'm relating in the world? Wow. So it's affecting that. And also, NIH has found, they've done studies that have found that this media is creating children to have less sensitive to pain and suffering of others. They become more fearful of the world around them and are more likely to behave in aggressive and harmful ways when they're watching this, the violence on the screen time.
So let me ask you, in our last couple of minutes here, and this is obviously going to be a conversation we'll have over a period of time. But in our last, I got like 90 seconds, and I hate to jam you up with this question.
Okay.
Everybody thinks there's an answer in a pill bottle. That's probably not the case, right? There isn't some pill we can pop and fix these kids. This is going to take real elbow grease, right?
This is going to take, yes. And so the reason I'm so happy that you had me on is because I wanted to bring that ecological system, that's a bioecological system, to let people know that it is not, you can't blame one person, one thing. It's not the toilet seat. It's many other elements and systems that are coming together. And so on the American American Academy of Pediatrics, they have a place for families to go to. It's called Family Media Use Plan, and I recommend people go there. It'll help people learn how to raise their children with the media that's out there.
Phenomenal stuff. And again, this will be a conversation we're going to be having. I have a feeling this is going to be at the forefront, and especially with the highly charged political environment we're living in and will live in for the next year or so. We're going to want to keep coming back to this. Jill Payne, thank you so much for coming by. All the best. Have a great weekend. We will talk again soon. I give you my word.
Thank you, Brett.